Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to Specialness, preseason 2. I'm Jeff. Kim's not here. There's a good reason for that, though. Let's just catch you up here. It's been about 3 months since our last episode, in which we said, "Hey, we're going to be, moving to a new studio," which, as you can see, is it's coming along. It's behind, like so many other things in our lives, and that's because that transition was happening kind of over the summer. Everything was going pretty well. We were planning on, we had set aside some time to get away for a couple of days. We were excited. We were going to go up to see a concert in the beautiful state of Montana on August 22nd in Kalispell. And we were going to leave on the 21st to go there. And we were excited. We're going to leave on 21st of August. We're just going to stay through Saturday, Sunday, come back. Only be gone a couple days. Jackson was going to watch Case, and it was going to be great. We hadn't been able to get away for almost a year, so that was going to be fun. And we thought this will be the perfect time to come back. When we return, we'll come back to the airwaves with our new podcast and talk about how great it was to get away and kind of recharge. However, there was a complication. On August 20th, at approximately 3 p.m., this is, let's call it 20 hours before we're taking off on our plane to go to Kalispell, which is a direct flight from Dallas, which I was a little surprised by this, for those of you who want to go. I was on a conference call with a client, and I started getting some frantic texts from Kim saying, something's happened to Kaysen. I just got a call. There's an ambulance on the way. So, I said, oh, hang on. I need to, go handle this. So left the team to kind of finish out the call, and I went and I called Kim. And it turns out that Kaysen was outside on the new basketball courts at My Possibilities, which is lovely. They've got this great sports complex over there now with a putting green and soccer fields and some basketball courts. Really great. And Kaysen loves basketball. We've talked about that. Anyway, during playing some pickup basketball, Kaysen apparently, when he was getting back on defense, he said he just planted his foot and he rolled his ankle. So Kaysen rolls his ankles all the time. I wasn't... ultimately, I was thinking, well, maybe this won't be so bad, and they're probably taking a lot of precautions by calling in the ambulance to come in because he just rolls his ankles. Well, it turns out that it was more serious than that, and I found out before I was heading over there that it turns out that he had a dislocated ankle, is what we were told. So I'm holding out hope that, okay, dislocated, maybe this won't be so serious. We can just pop it back in and, we'll still be able to go to Montana because, boy, did we need the break. But it turns out that, no, that wasn't going to happen because not only did he dislocate it, which they reset, he actually broke 2 bones and tore 2 tendons in his ankle. So that was going to require surgery and all kinds of things. So we had to cancel our trip to Kalispell. Luckily, I had used miles to book the trip, so I was able to just get those back. I was able to cancel the hotel. That was great. I bought the insurance for everything, which I always do when we travel because we never ultimately end up traveling. The one thing I didn't get the insurance on was the concert tickets. So, all things considered, I guess, being out a couple $100 isn't that bad. It's really more about the time we weren't able to get away, which we haven't been able to. which is where I'll now pick up. It's August, it's the weekend of August 22nd, and we're about to begin a journey that will lead up to the current day. What we have found out is that Kason, who, he's got neuropathy, so he doesn't always feel things in his extremities. We were going to do surgery. The doctor, the surgeon, wanted to do surgery pretty quick, but the swelling was pretty bad, so we had to wait a week before we could do surgery. So he's in a splint, just talk about insurance again. We had to go to the emergency room where they gave him some crutches and a prescription for a wheelchair. But they don't give him the wheelchair. They just give him a prescription. Now, as we have described, Kason, crutches, you might as well have given him a javelin or a pole vault, because he's not going to be able to do it. The crutches, the motor planning, the hand-eye coordination, it just wasn't going to happen. So we had to kind of carry him around for a couple days because the next day, Saturday, I went to take the prescription in for the wheelchair. And it turns out, the insurance won't approve the prescription until they get the notes from the doctor at the emergency room, which I was told that won't happen because the emergency rooms are too crowded. They won't ever get it over. Realistically, you're going to have to rent one until you can see your actual doctor, and then we'll be able to get the records. And I was like, that makes perfect sense in today's healthcare climate. Perfect. Let's rent a wheelchair, $15 a day. And I said, maybe we'll get it by Monday. It'll only cost you a couple of days. It didn't happen that way. We ended up having to wait until we saw the doctor a full week later. And then there was a couple more days. We spent $150 on a $200 wheelchair that we ended up getting for free after paying $150 to rent wheelchairs. So that I'm just going to add that to the tab of what we were out on our trip to Kalispell. So now we're up to $450. It's okay though, because we're still home and we're together, which is all that matters. So we've got a wheelchair now and we're having to wheel him around. And we go to the doctor and he says, he's going to need surgery. And we don't really have an available service date because of his anesthesia issues and stuff, probably for another week. So we went a full 2 weeks before we could do anything. And at that appointment, we were told he's not going to be able to put weight on his ankle for 6 to 8 weeks at a minimum. So we're like, that's great. That's perfect. So no more my possibilities. We're rocketed back in time to summers or the pandemic or whatever, where one of us has to be home all the time because Kason needs help doing anything because he can't move. And he's scared to move anyway because he's afraid that he's going to make it worse, even though he's been told repeatedly he's not going to. That normal paranoia that comes with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia is still there. So we're fighting our way through this. Also, for those of you who also know about Kason's infusions that he takes for his immune deficiency, it's a weekly infusion that he does in his stomach. It takes a couple hours once a week. We end up watching some movie while we do it. Well, his prescription expired at the end, like in the third week of September. Now, we're in the throes of all this, and luckily, the doctor who approves the prescription was out of town for a couple of weeks. The company that does the infusions let us know that it was expiring about 5 days before it expired, which meant we had to, and they said they had contacted the doctor. They had not gotten back to them. I contacted the doctor. They said they had, but sometimes things don't go through on email or stuff because of a server wall or, a firewall. So it's all very understandable how these things happen. Kaysen is about to miss an infusion. Now, luckily, he's home because he has broken ankle. That ended up getting worked out about 2 weeks late. We missed 2 weeks worth. He already started to show little sniffles and stuff, like maybe some of his immune system was already starting to break down. We've now started to get caught up, but we have to do multiple infusions over the course of a shorter period of time to get caught up. So now, instead of just getting back on regular Wednesdays, this week we had to do one Tuesday, we'll do one Friday, and then we'll get back on track next Wednesday. Kaysen loves needles, so he's very excited about that. 3 sessions in 7 days. That'll be fun, or it has been fun. So all of that's been going on as we have been kind of preparing to come back. Just a few of the greatest hits at home of what we're dealing with now. Kaysen experiences, when he experiences anything for the first time, it is fear, paralyzing fear, paranoia. So everything that we did after he broke his ankle was doing it for the first time. The first time we had to shower with his leg hanging out of the shower. It took us 2 hours to convince him to get into his disability-enabled bathtub shower because he didn't think he could get over the low step, which of course was lower than the regular shower, but that was a 2-hour affair. A lot of yelling, a lot of us kind of having to say okay and wait and be patient. And Kim has been more or less trapped at home. Those first few days, we were supposed to have gone to Montana. We took our vacation at home. I did stay home those couple days, and we tried to figure out how we were going to take the boot on and off and do those types of things. After surgery now, he has to do these exercises a couple, 3 times a day where he has to, roll his ankle and up, down, and, loosen it up. Our next appointment is a week away. The hope is that we will be allowed to start putting a little weight back on the foot. Obviously, we have no idea how he's going to respond to trusting his ankle when he gets back out there. One of the fun things was we were able to tell him, hey, this is what happened to Dak Prescott. He kind of liked that. But, realistically, his ankle is going to be weak. He's not going to trust it. He's going to be paranoid. He generally had been an all-day hipster at my possibilities. We're going to shoot for half days. We're not even sure what half. We're probably going to go like the back half of the day and hope that he can kind of move around enough, because he's made it very clear to us he's not going in with a walker. That's embarrassing. That is just embarrassing. Even though there are plenty of hipsters with walkers, he's afraid that someone will make fun of him. Someone will ask him what's going on. Someone will think he's weird. But I'll be honest, everyone knows there what happened. It's been great. We've gotten cards from the staff, and he gets calls from the hipster council. Some of his friends call every day to check on him. It's been great for him. Kim fights all day. Again, this is a throwback to the summers, when we were still in school, where Kim would be trapped at home with the kids. I work, and then I come home and I kind of take over the evening, the bedtime ritual, all that stuff. So yeah, it has been chaotic. So having to give up that recharge time, now we need it more than ever, and I don't know when we're going to do it. But it doesn't appear like it'll happen anytime soon. The irony, though, of it being less than 24 hours from when we were going to take off. One of the things that Kim said was, I'm sure glad this happened before we left. My response was, what? The timing is uncanny. I mean, yes, I'm glad we weren't in Montana when this happened, but why does it have to happen at all? Why does this have to happen? It's not like Kaysen doesn't play basketball all the time. It's not like he doesn't roll his ankles all the time. So the good news is, I guess he will have a stronger ankle now, because he's got bionics in there now. He's had some plates put in and screws, and those those loose joints that he's got are going to be very tightened up on that ankle. So that's good. It's his left ankle, which isn't his dominant foot, which is also good, which means he has to trust it less. But, learning to push up with the weight of one leg hard. We've ended up acquiring a lot of medical equipment. In addition to our wheelchair, because we have a 2-story house, Kaysen has to basically, lift his way up the stairs to not hurt his ankle. Well, he also has loose wrists, so he's constantly spraining his wrists. So we now have wrist braces that he has to put on to help maintain some integrity to his wrists. At the top of the stairs, this is brilliant, on Amazon for a couple $100. Not going to add that to the tab. We're going to save this stuff, put it in the medical storage facility. There is a lift. It'll lift up to, I want to say 300 pounds. And it looks like a chair that's flat on the ground, and you sit on it, and there's like a little remote control. Well, it's plugged into it, but there's a control, and you can lift it up. It's like a lazy boy, like a poor man's lazy boy. So it lifts him up, which allows me to transfer him to the wheelchair. By the way, we have a second wheelchair because we have a wheelchair downstairs and upstairs because I developed bicipital tendonitis from the tight quarters of the pivot of going up the stairs with the wheelchair. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Certainly haven't dealt with something like this in a long time. A surprise like this. Usually the stress is pretty normal. It's just the normal stuff. But the last couple months have definitely taken it up a notch. We have also not been back to church, although the special needs ministry is also one of the groups that calls Kaysen on Sundays and involves him, which is great. We are very much looking forward to him being able to put some weight on his ankles again so that we can try and get back into the swing of things of a semi-normal life where he can go back to MP and Kim can get her life back and be able to get out of the house and, do anything that she would normally do. We're tired all the time because we usually have used our Saturdays to kind of catch up on some sleep because Kaysen has been able to get up on his own and go down and make breakfast and stuff. So we kind of can sleep in on Saturdays. That's why I'm referring to this as preseason episode, preseason 3, episode 1. My intention is to come back to you with an update after our next doctor's appointments and continue to talk about the things that we've got going on. More updates on Social Security and now Kaysen's ankle and whether or not we'll ever be able to go anywhere again. Like we haven't been able to just go to dinner, which something else. I guess we took that for granted. We knew we didn't travel. That's a given, but just the ability to be able to just go around the corner for a sit-down dinner for an hour and a half. What we wouldn't give for that now. But, hey, I'm sure a lot of you out there are dealing with similar situations from time to time. And if you are, I'm very sorry to hear that. And I hope you are recovering or recovered. We are working our way through this and are trying to bring our sanity back into full swing. So, thanks for tuning back in. The rumors of our demise were greatly exaggerated, although it came close. We will be back on a regular basis, hopefully this fall, once we get into November and holidays. That's always a perfect time for things to go wrong, but maybe we're getting it out of the way now. We'll see. By the way, I've appreciated the comments on our reels that we've seen. A lot of people talking about guardianship and medications and stuff like that, where hopefully our responses are helping people out. So please continue to respond to those. Like, follow, do all the things we have asked you to do before. And I hope this provides you with a decent update and an acceptable update as to why we have been gone so long. So until next time, I'm Jeff, and this is Specialness. See you next time.